Hello, everyone, and welcome. My guest today is the wonderful and talented Melissa Maribel. After originally pursuing a career in dentistry, which included working as a dental assistant, doing internships at several dentist offices, and winning a dentistry science competition, she discovered a new calling and a profound sense of fulfillment through her experiences as a private tutor. By 2015, having graduated college, she had built her own full-time tutoring business, tutoring her clients back-to-back for 12 hours at a time in coffee shops. Looking to expand her reach, she started a YouTube channel in 2017, and in just 3 years, she has amassed 138,000 subscribers and 7.2 million views here on YouTube. Today, Melissa is committed to carrying out her vision of teaching creatively through her educational resources so that students can not only continue in the sciences, but can begin to associate learning with growth rather than with difficulty and boredom. Melissa, thank you very much, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me and for doing your homework.
Yeah, I figured.
Didn't know you knew so much already.
Well, I mean, it was all on your website. I'm not a stalker, but
That's true.
no, it's yeah. I'm basically trying to make up for all the homework I didn't do back in high school. So, another thing I found on your website was that, and this is a direct quote from you. You have a jar full of tears caused by your chemistry classes when you were in college. Could you maybe tell the audience a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I basically came from being a straight A student from high school, like in high school. Then college totally opened my eyes to see how challenging it could be. And I wasn't expecting to actually not pass my first chemistry class, which is shocking. But I kind of like went through that whole process of feeling like an imposter, like I felt like maybe I'm not cut out to be a chemistry major. Maybe, at that time I wanted to be a dentist so badly. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like, is this one class going to come in the way of my dream? And I'd say it was a lot of doubts, like to myself and even my abilities, like at certain moments I thought I was stupid, unfortunately. Like, it's sad to say, but I really felt that way. So I'd say that was it. It was a jar full of tears of me doubting myself, of my grades, seeing that I was trying so hard and it just wasn't working, and feeling discouraged. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you declare a chemistry major right out of the gate, right out of high school?
No, so I actually started off as a biochemistry major, and I just went right to it, right, overachiever there, as I've always been. But I took my first biology class and realized that, I'm more of a numbers person. Mm-hmm. I really liked math. I was also, actually, I started off as a math tutor, and then I worked my way to a chemistry tutor later on. So numbers came pretty easy to me. So that's why I thought chemistry, it has math in it. And then as you progress in chemistry, you take calculus, and that was easy, but I realized that it was the concepts, that kind of got to you. But no, I started off as a biochemistry major, and then after my first biology class, I switched almost immediately to chemistry.
Nice. So, what made you interested in biochemistry? Was it just your just fondness for science and order and objectivity and things like that? Was there an AP chemistry class that you took, or biology, or what was it that stimulated your interest in biochemistry way back in the beginning?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it was because of my interest for science, even though, sure, I was always interested in science. Mm-hmm. It was more of my interest in wanting to have a really good application for dental school. I'd say it was more tailored to that, me thinking about, I want to have a good foundation in everything, because I wanted to be in research. Actually, I considered, I did do a research project in high school, and I interned at UCLA a couple of times at a research lab. So I thought that
I'm sorry to interrupt. It was doing biochem research.
No, it was actually in a sleep lab. It was pretty cool. It was a sleep lab, and it was just for me to get an understanding of what a research lab would look like. It was a family friend. It was a great opportunity. I wanted to take it, So I just thought maybe since I won that dental scholarship, and it was a research project, I was thinking maybe if I was a biochemist, if I got my degree in biochemistry, that could help me with any future discoveries or anything that I want to think of, as a dentist and possibly working in a lab. So overachiever, I'm telling you, that's what it was.
That's really interesting, because like it kind of reminds me of my wife a little bit, because my wife got her bachelor's from the same college we both went to college together, UCF in Orlando, Florida, and
Nice.
she got her bachelor's in forensic science, and then in order to sort of like separate herself from the rest of the crop of people who had forensics bachelor's degrees, she actually went out and got an entomology master's. She's like studied insects for 2 years at UF, which apparently like I didn't even know, but apparently UF has like a really good like top rated entomology program. And it worked. Like she landed a job right after that, and she's been employed ever since. Until recently, deciding to sort of like stay at home, watch the kids, and she's actually started her own sort of consulting business too, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's interesting though, because like when you hear like the degrees or the majors that people choose, it's like you automatically think that they want to do X or Y job. Like, oh, you majored in chemistry, so you must have wanted to become a researcher. And that's kind of like the false assumption that I made when I talked to Dave Farina. I talked to him. If anybody who's watching this wants to check that out, you just look up my videos. I think it's called Chatting with Dave Farina. And I asked him, like, was there a crossroads where you wanted to, you had a choice of becoming a researcher or becoming like a prolific educator? And he just explained it point blank, like, yeah, being a researcher was never really on the table. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a surprise.
Yeah, it's you can do so much with it, and I've even seen, and this is actually something I've even considered now. I kind of wish that maybe I don't know, like maybe I could major in chemistry, but what if I majored in something else? What if I majored in business or and minored in chemistry, or just taking the appropriate classes? Like there's so many different things that you can do if you want to pursue like med school or dental school. Sometimes we do have to kind of set ourselves apart in that way,
Sure.
sadly, with how competitive it is now.
Right, and I think that's kind of an important thing for kids in high school to understand, is that like oftentimes it doesn't even quite matter like the specific major that you choose. What matters is like the skills and discipline that you sort of extract from that, and especially given that you look at the statistics, and I think it's about 40% of college graduates are working in a field that's not even directly related to their major. So this is it's a pretty common thing. For you to get skills from your major and apply them, somewhere else, which you can do with a lot of different majors. Like I know, some of my chemistry classmates, they're doing all kinds of different things, so it's pretty cool. But
Not many chemists ended up being from the chemistry majors.
oh, some of them are.
I don't know, like a lot of your friends.
So some of them are, but one of them I'm thinking she's like a veterinarian now. She decided to become a vet. I think, I don't know, it takes like a certain like breed of person to be like a lab rat like I am, you know what I mean? Like it's not, like what I do professionally is I do research and development on active pharmaceutical ingredients for a large biotech company. And before that, I spent 3.5 years working on like fuels and propellants for rocket engines for a startup defense contractor. And I don't know, it just takes like a certain type of sort of personality, I think, to be comfortable in such a, not so much my current job and my previous job, it was just such a crazy, like chaotic and also really, really dangerous environment. Like we were working with pyrophoric materials. I started like at least 4 accidental fires, and those are just the ones that I can remember. One of which was like really, really, like could have been really bad. I actually uploaded a video on it because I was like the only one there, and it was like this fire, and I locked myself out. It was freaking crazy. But yeah, it's just such a crazy thing, and I could totally understand why so few people would want to sort of commit their lives to doing chemical research.
Definitely. Wow, I had no idea that. I mean, that's awesome that you are doing that, but you also got away from more of the fires. That does sound really dangerous, and I do think that a lot of students don't realize what it really looks like to be, I guess, a chemist or work in that industry.
Sure.
I mean, I think I like personally, I did a tiny bit of research that like, I don't have, much experience, I'd say in the lab or in industry. But I'd say I early on realized I don't want to be working in industry. It's not for me. And it's more or less on the, I don't know. I kind of felt like, you don't really see much daylight, at least from the lab that I was working in. You're constantly there, and it is interesting. Not saying that it isn't,
Sure.
but I kind of saw it as I need to be surrounded by people or do something where I'm talking, or I'm a bit of a social person,
Yeah,
so
I understand. Like,
I needed
I
that.
think, I don't know, like, it depends on where I am, but for the most part, I kind of like to just put my earbuds, put on some music from the Breaking Bad soundtrack and just like pretend I'm Walter White for a little while. That's,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, the world needs people, of all different sort of preferences.
Yes.
But, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is this thing that there's another thing I read from your bio. You entered this competition called the YouTube Nextup competition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, just that title, Next Up, are they implying that they're like, taking these like sleeper creators who are just getting started and just kind of like giving them what they need to kind of blow them up into people who are more prolific? Is that what it's all about?
Pretty much. I'd say it's an investment in the creator. So they still do it. I know with everything going on now, of course, it's paused, but I'm sure that they're going to bring that back up again. But what it is, it's a creator program where I believe it was 13 creators got accepted or won it, and you get to actually go to the YouTube space.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go to the YouTube space in LA, and you get to spend an entire week just learning from like professionals. So they'll teach you lighting, video, equipment, like how to properly film. They'll work one-on-one with you. You'll learn what else. They also had mentors. I think that was one of the most like rewarding things about it, was that they had mentors of people who had, millions of subscribers and were successful already.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to see your channel and like, do a review and talk to you about it and get that advice. Plus you got to meet other creators. I know that it's not easy finding other creators in your area, especially, doing the same sort of thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that was another reward of it. And of course, they give you a voucher for new equipment. So that was a total blessing to get really good equipment from B&H, so that was cool. I would say, not only that, you also get a, manager. So you get a 3-month time with a YouTube partner manager who, once again, like will help you out. I do currently have a manager, and they help you out with like how to grow and improve your channel, or even just anything that they hear, like any events or I don't know, like features that they may have that they might want to actually use on your channel. So I'd say it's validation. That was definitely validation. You have to have 10,000 subscribers. And then you have to.
Is there a maximum? Is there a maximum like that? If you have over that, you can't join.
Yeah, I believe it was 100,000. So it's between 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers.
So I'm eligible.
You're eligible. Yes, you are. They do have like different types. So like they have the one that I got accepted into was specifically for Latino creators. Mm-hmm. And then they do have others for like just women, others who I don't know what they plan to do next year.
I don't think, as a heterosexual white dude, I don't think my odds are so great.
I overheard that they might do like education, so fingers crossed.
Hey, that's
yeah.
I think some of my content can be interpreted as educational, so I don't know, but
maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, so I would say definitely apply. It was a really great experience, and then I mean you're on the radar of YouTube, which I mean that's great. It's basically just them lifting you up and helping you out. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Cause like I read, like I have a book. I bought a book. Like those like paper things that they fold. Not saying that you don't.
What are those?
It's for the audience. People, I don't know. I get the feeling people don't do a lot of like book learning anymore. But like that's how I get like most of my information is just reading nonfiction. But it was this book called like YouTube Secrets, this and that. And the most important things that I took from reading that book were
Tim Schmoyer.
What's that?
Was it Tim Schmoyer's book?
I can't remember. It's red. It's got like a YouTube play button with like $100 bill on the other side of it. Like, It's in my backpack, but it's like all the way across the room, and
Okay.
it looks like a scene from
It's okay.
Hoarders
That's
up in
okay.
here, so I can't go get it right now. But
Totally fine. Totally fine.
okay, I'll DM you. I'll DM you the title after this.
Yeah.
But the two things that I kind of extracted from that book as to like, how to like grow and improve and get more eyeballs and stuff like that, because like I'm sure you can relate, like you don't want to sell out and just give people what they want. There's always like this dilemma as a content creator between doing something that's going to draw attention and doing really what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So the two things that I really extracted were like consistency, stick to your schedule, whether it's like daily, weekly, whatever. In my case, daily is just simply impossible. As a family man, and with a full-time job, out of the question. Weekly, I would say will be possible within maybe the next few months, like, when my second daughter is no longer like needs that complete like round the clock attention. So the consistency thing, and then also like to be unique, to do something that nobody has sort of done before, you know what I mean? So like and what comes to mind, at least in my own anecdotal experience, was and it's a little bit disappointing to admit this, but the video of mine that has by far the most hits is not actually like a lesson or an educational video. It's a drive-through prank video. Back when like drive-through pranks were kind of like a big thing on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I did was like I would pull up to the drive-through window and I would order food in like my regular voice that you're hearing right now, and then as I was pulling around to pay or to get the food or whatever, I would inhale like a huge hit of sulfur hexafluoride gas, which I got from when I was teaching. I used to teach high school chemistry, and I bought like this tank, this like 40 cubic foot cylinder of sulfur hexafluoride, and I still have it too. But like, and so like, even though like in the reactions from the drive-through people like weren't even that good, they like, I think they were just kind of embarrassed, like they didn't want to like be react, because they think maybe I had like a disability or something. But that video got like 1.4 million hits, and it's like, damn, like what is the state of the world where that gets all the views, but like the educational content doesn't get nearly as much? You know what I mean?
Oh, completely. It can be frustrating. It really can, and it can also be like, I don't know. I kind of always saw it as, I don't want to do anything that goes against my own integrity and my brand.
Sure.
And like you have to decide early on what your brand is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, like, you get so many like messages, like for myself, like I'm not one who's going to possibly be in the like doing explosions, and like doing everything that you wish, I guess you think chemistry is always, and I saw it more of like, what, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the I don't know, like jokes and things like that. It's like, what, those aren't my talents either. Like you kind of have to think about it as like, what are you actually, giving to this audience? And like for myself is, hey, my skill is teaching. I can at least do that. It's not makeup, or it's not, like anything else, like saying jokes or whatnot. But no, I get you there. It can be frustrating as well, knowing that it is such a slow process, and you're not gonna, be this famous YouTuber and all that.
Right.
Instead, I've always kind of jokingly said that if anyone were to recognize me in public, they wouldn't ask for an autograph or a picture. They would just get their homework and have me try to do it.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey, while you're here, I got these like stoichiometry things that are really like tripping me up, and could you just, send me, a screenshot with
Just tutor me.
Yeah, send me a screenshot with this worksheet like all filled out, and all right, I'll subscribe.
Exactly.
You strike me as someone who is very, very organized. Like you really have your stuff together. Am I right about that?
Yes and no. Yes and no, as in I know what I want. So I'm a planner, that's for sure. But I do have a tendency, and I'm working on that this year, to start a project and basically leave it open and not finish it. I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to do, and I'll start it, and then I'll realize, what, maybe that's not the right time, and then, oh, you know what, this is better, and then kind of like jump back and forth on different projects. And I mean, yeah, I do get them done eventually, just not in the timeline that I wish or want. I do put a lot of pressure on myself, I will tell you that. But yeah, you have to be organized. Like you have to be organized to like run a successful channel and a business and, you know, all these different things. Or else, I mean, like this is my full-time job, you know, like what else am I going to do?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you have like a rigid like schedule that you follow, like shoot on Monday, you know, edit on Tuesday? Like how do you like what is your sort of day to day like? I mean, obviously like I don't want to, you know, ask you to like leak anything that might be like confidential or proprietary,
Yeah.
could you like give us a little more on like sort of like what your day to day is like and how your schedule is organized?
Yeah, so my schedule overall right now is basically just a bunch of writing. So I don't film as much as you think. Filming is, I'd say like so I do have a small team, as I mentioned. So they handle the like videography and editing side, but I just schedule the time with them, you know, so I will literally create like a week or month plan of whatever project that I'm working on. And lately I've just been focused on just one project, finish that one project. Once that's complete, move on to the next one. And it's been working, you know. So I would say day to day, I work from either 9 or 10 in the morning to 7 p.m. And then once that's complete, and by work I mean that can be anything from writing new scripts, you know, making new lesson plans, the props or slides or whatever, you know, whatever I need for that lesson. And then once I decide that, okay, it's time to film, I will schedule like 1 or 2 days to focus on that. So whether that's like a voiceover or like, you know, my actual face, I prefer to film as much as possible on that one day, especially if, you know, I'm already like dressed and everything is fine and we're filming my face, then I will have like multiple videos and try to just knock it all out in 1 or 2 days. Yeah.
Oh, so you'll do like batch production of like
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Another thing I noticed was that, you know, like actually, let me ask you this. I have YouTube Premium, so I don't really see ads. But do you have ads turned on?
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
But you do have things like, you know, you sell flashcards, you sell notes, you have like these various sort of. I think you also have a Patreon. Is that right?
I do. I don't push it too much, I'd say.
Right.
You know, I definitely want students to utilize the products that I do have that I feel is a win-win for both. You know, I want them to be able to actually learn from that. And I don't really have much on Patreon. So I prefer, you know, like, hey, actually get what you need to help you with this class. Yeah.
I see. So I'm trying not to get too... Let me ask you this. Do you have like a dedicated like studio that's just always there and you just walk up to it and shoot, or do you have to like build your studio and then shoot and then take it all down?
Yeah, I do have a dedicated studio. I know.
So jealous.
Okay, it is my living room. It is my living room. It's an interesting setup, but yes, I didn't always have that. But I will say that I am very blessed. I am very blessed to have my entire living room be just a studio, you know, and it is there whenever I need it. So I will have, it's the entire, it's in the entire living room. So I have half of it, I'm just like visualizing it. I have half of it where it's just a bunch of lights and it's a backdrop, and that's where you kind of see me, like, you know, you see my face and you see me talking. And then on the other side is the overhead camera. So we do have 2 separate cameras.
I noticed that.
It's the overhead camera.
That's really cool. I really like that. I really like the effect that provides in your videos. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. So there's definitely reasoning behind that, why I wanted it to look that way, which I know a lot of people may not necessarily think of, but I wanted to target females. Like I wanted girls to see that there is someone, you know, representing them and to feel like comfortable with it and to actually like it. You know, there's a lot of different things that we see, I'm actually always really interested in just knowing the psychology of like human behavior and understanding, what people, how people think, and with chemistry, this has always been something that's so scary, how it's seen. So I wanted to remove that. I wanted to have them already see something that they're comfortable with looking at, that they feel happy, to see, whether it's bright colors or it's a friendly face, it's a soft and, kind tone, so those
Wow.
sort of
You really
things, I
considered it
really
from like all
thought about
angles
it.
here, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought about, I think it's so important to know, what does your audience already watch on YouTube?
Hmm.
Like, what do they like? And then kind of sprinkle some of those, things into your video, and of course make it your own. But that's where the style came to life, seeing what, my audience actually watches.
Do you spend a lot of time researching your own analytics and then sort of developing your strategy based on the findings that you get from your analytics?
I used to. So not as much now, I'll admit. I've kind of just, I don't want to say I figured it out. You've never really figured out the algorithm.
Yeah,
um,
it's always changing. Like for instance, I
yeah.
just found out recently that you put hashtags in your descriptions, and then like the first three of them appear at the bottom of your title, and now like I'm going through all of my videos and trying to put hashtags in them, and this is after going through everything trying to put an end screen in them, and it's just like, oh man, like you need like a full, like
A lot of
it
work.
could be a full-time job just to manage like the changes in the algorithm, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
It
I'm sorry.
definitely is.
I'm
Yeah, it
sorry.
definitely
You
is.
were saying though. I interrupted you. My bad.
No, you're fine. Um, I used to look at it.
Hmm.
So I would look at basically like what thumbnails are working. It's always important. What the click-through rate. I would look at, and from time to time I do look at it. I'd say I look more on it if I just released a new playlist or video and I want to check, okay, how's it doing? Or if I'm planning for the next semester, which I did recently, what videos should I, put in again to drive more traffic for this, up and coming semester. I would say what's really important to look at is what you're already like being searched for. So what topics? So for me, I'm known for naming compounds and stoichiometry.
Hmm.
They just want, like, students want more of that, even though I have so many videos on it.
Hmm.
But I would say that is actually a good thing, because that's how they find you and that's how they find other videos. And then same goes with, I mean, your channel's doing great as well. Like same
That's
goes with,
debatable.
it is. You're not a small channel. You are not a small
No,
channel.
I have like tens of thousands of subs, but like the number of active viewers is tiny. What happens is people sub, they no longer need chemistry, and then they don't unsub, and and so like you have this like inflated sense of audience when I mean, I'm not trying to be super self-deprecating, and I do appreciate the compliments. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I respectfully disagree though. I don't think it's doing that well, but I'm doing my best to sort of shock it back to life while still handling all my other responsibilities. Because for me, I mean, you know, YouTube and even my career as a chemist are like a distant second and third compared to my daughters and my wife. Like that is everything to me. If there's ever a conflict between career and family, like I'm not even gonna flip a coin like 10 times. Like it's the family will always come first. And being that I just bought a house last year, it's like this thing, I'm really sort of trying to fight, entropy, but entropy can be quite the MFer on a house that's built in
Yeah.
1980.
Yes,
So
you can.
so like house projects, raising a toddler, dealing with, like the exciting news of the
Mhm.
pregnancy and all this stuff. It's just like, man, I think I've done an okay job of doing like live streams and stuff like that, but it's a slow process though. I mean, I went over a year without uploading, so I don't expect overnight to get like a fresh audience again. But again, thank you for the compliments. I appreciate your kind words.
Of course. And really it that is important. Like, I mean, I've been, like, personally, I've been doing a lot of, thinking during this time. We have so much time now. Like, you're not allowed to go out, so
Well, I am.
we have
I
plenty of
mean,
time to think.
I'm in South Carolina where the governor, let's just say, isn't as, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. But I'm in South Carolina, so I can, I can go out, I can sit down, I can eat a meal. I do have to wear masks, but most of the time, especially in restaurants, the mask rules aren't even really strictly enforced. Like you go in wearing one, and then you take it off, and you're good to go. So
That's true.
the
Yeah,
one thing
we
that,
do have that as well. Yeah.
right, the one thing that I miss is the local mall in my city or town. It's like only like 40,000 people in this city, but the mall has shut down their play area, and that used to be like our thing between my daughter and I. It was like our daddy daughter dates. We'd go out, we'd go to the mall, we'd get like split some Japanese food, and she'd eat a bunch of rice, and we'd go to that play area. It's like aquatic themed. There's like a little pirate ship and a little lobster that she can climb on and everything. And now it's just
Yeah.
and now honestly, like looking at that mall and looking at all the stores that have closed permanently, I think that mall is going to go belly up pretty soon, along with the play area inside of it. So it's pretty sad.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. But it's now seeing it. It's so important to spend time with family and friends and
Mm-hmm.
putting. I wouldn't say that putting work first is as important as it used to be. Like for myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
As like I've always been someone who's very career focused, a little too much at times, but which sure has brought me a lot. But now kind of seeing that it's set and it's doing well, I would say, yeah, definitely focusing on those relationships and making sure that they don't slip away because if you don't have anything, if you don't have someone to share this with or even just talk to, it can be really like a really lonely process. And I'm thankful that I don't have, like I'm not alone in this.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The other thing in your, I mean, I sort of in my little like hype intro for you, I mentioned something that was on your website about what did you say? You're talking about students who not only continuing in the sciences but also associating learning with growth. Have you ever thought about, and this is something I've sort of thought about but haven't really committed any time to, is some sort of effort to sort of build up the sort of networking personality, like networking skills of science-minded people, because oftentimes, like, and I've seen this, you probably have as well, people who are really interested in science, people who study science all the time, not so great at networking and putting their name out there and putting their best foot forward and applying and interviewing and giving a firm grip when they shake hands and all that kind of stuff. So have you ever sort of thought about something like a project from that angle, like helping connect like really really talented people with really really good employers where that connection perhaps otherwise wouldn't have been made?
Great question. Yes and no, I guess. Like not necessarily. I can't say that I have too many connections with like employers. Um, I it's kind of interesting, but I guess I've thought about employing some people. Like I think that's where it's a bit different. I'm kind of like a different type of channel where I am a business, like this is a business, I do sell my own products and I do plan to sell more. I do want to see how I can even, get more edutubers to maybe, I don't know, like maybe help with any other projects that I plan on making and actually pay them, and pay them for their time and their efforts and see how we can work together because I understand how difficult it is to make a living off of this. It's super hard. You do have to work constantly every day, just to ensure that you have a paycheck, so I thought now that and I don't want to make it seem like I'm super successful and there's so much going on, like, no, it's just the fact that I'm able to now support myself through the business. I was able to, quit my full-time job and all that. But now seeing how I kind of have an idea how to run this, I do have like future goals to possibly work with other creators and we can create something together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration in the YouTube sort of educational space. I mean, even something that's like sort of like I thought about something about doing something with any big chemistry YouTuber who's interested, where we would all basically like sing the Elements song by Tom Lehrer, and it would be like one YouTuber at a time would have like one element at a time, and it would just keep going in a pattern. Like I would say antimony, and then you would say arsenic, and then the next one would say aluminum, and like wouldn't that be a cool thing for like people to be like, oh, these are all my favorite chemistry YouTubers together, and they're all doing this. You know what I mean? Like I think people get a kick out
Yeah.
of that. I think the audience really likes to watch things like that where they see like, oh man, I love these two people and they're talking to each other. That's so cool.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, it's very true. It's completely true. And like even like myself, I don't know who else you've met who does, chemistry or even like or edutubers.
Tyler.
But there
I've
isn't.
Skyped with Tyler.
You met Tyler?
Yeah.
Oh.
Back in, it was either 2012 or 2013, Tyler reached out to me and invited me to join his site called Vesper.org, which I believe now has been changed to Socratic.org. And at the time, I was kind of reluctant. Like I was just kind of afraid of like committing or letting him down or anything like that. So we Skyped on a couple of occasions, and ultimately I ended up declining his offer. But we've sort of loosely kept in touch. Exchanged some emails. We've talked about collaborating. I actually talked about flying him down to Florida where I was living at the time and doing some kind of like in-person thing, and then like covering his expenses to get down there in exchange for like a shout out or something like that, just to like help get my name out there, because I mean he's just massive.
Yeah. He's a great guy. I met him at EduCon. I don't know if you're familiar with these conferences. You should be.
Nope.
When it happens again. I'll make sure that you're on the list.
Oh, thank you.
And we can talk after that.
Okay.
It'd be great to meet you in person as well. And like you can meet, that's how I met Dave as well. So you meet basically everybody, everybody who's on the platform. Well, I can't say everybody, but the main people, I guess I can say.
The important ones.
You get to the people who want to be met, who
kidding.
want to be.
We're all important. We're all just so equally important. Everybody's equal, right? I'm just kidding, but
exactly. Yeah. So I would say there.
That's just crazy. Like, there's these things that like are so big and like prolific and important, and I'm just like so out of the loop. It's like, why? I don't know. Like, I need to like put an antenna on my head or something so I can like get wind of all these things. Like, how did you figure this out? How did you? I mean, I guess maybe like it might be like a proximity principle. Like, you being where you are, you're a lot closer to like where everything's going on. I'm all the way on the other side of the country. I don't know, but
yeah, it wasn't proximity.
No.
I'm closer to LA. I'm in California.
Yeah.
But it was someone that I actually met through, I guess it was more of just networking, putting yourself out there like online and like joining these different, I don't want to say clubs, but these different programs. It's kind of like you'd meet someone who then knows somebody, it's kind of one of those sort of situations.
It's like a tree branch sort of effect, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So I don't know if you know who Trina is. She has a channel. She's also a YouTuber. She has her channel, Miss Beautifile, and she teaches like basically the science behind your shampoo, your hair dryer, like all these different things that you just like. She does an amazing job.
That sounds really cool. So, I've never heard of it, but yeah, definitely send me a DM with the channel name, and I'll definitely look it up, and I'm sure I'll love it. So I'll definitely subscribe to.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And so I met her through like a YouTube course that I ended up deciding to take early on. And then she actually connected me with basically an entire like Slack group with different educators, edutubers. So that's how I got my foot in the door, and I went to EduCon, which is a kind of like, think of like, I don't want to say VidCon, but it's really just a conference for all the edutubers that are there on the platform.
Definitely not TanaCon, right?
No.
I'm actually ashamed.
I'm
ashamed of myself that I even know about that story. I don't know. Sometimes I get caught up in like drama and gossip and stuff. It's like such an embarrassing thing, but it is a guilty pleasure of mine. So I'm just gonna keep it real.
You know what? It's interesting. I kind of see it as like, it's research. I'm on this platform and got to keep up with everything. But really, it's just my own like eating popcorn. Like, what happened next?
Yeah. And I don't know. I think like once you've done your work for the day, like I don't think there's anything wrong with sort of indulging in those guilty pleasures. Personally, I wouldn't judge anybody for it, especially given that I do it myself. So,
yeah.
But that is
Nothing
cool.
wrong with it.
Do I look a little blurry to you? I'm sorry to.
Yes.
Okay,
a little bit.
Let me try to back up a little bit. Better. Okay.
Oh, you're back. The light. Yeah, I think it could have been the lighting.
I don't know. My lighting. I don't know.
You're good.
I have like no training at all in like any kind of like photography or videography or anything like that. But yeah, I got a couple of like these studio lights pointing at me right now. And then behind me, this is a TV screen that I've like wrapped up with a blanket to like reduce or eliminate the glare. So that's what I'm rocking.
Nice. There you go.
But
you learn over time. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error. Like my early videos were shot with like a freaking LG Xenon, which was like this god awful slider phone that had like terrible video and audio quality. But and then over time it just kind of improved from there. Like so you were talking about earlier about how like you're looking into sort of thinking bigger, expanding, hiring people, and this and that. It's interesting to me because, and again, if this is like too, like personal or confidential or proprietary, just let me know. We don't have to talk about it. But, without ads, without a huge Patreon, you do like as we established before, you sell your notes, you sell your study guides and flashcards and things like that. How do you get the bulk of your sort of income? Like, what's the sort of pie chart of, how you're able to sustain your business?
I would say the majority of it is going to be selling my own products. Like that is, you cannot depend on ads, AdSense,
Yeah,
you can't depend on that sense at all. Yeah. Especially because, for what we do, you're going to have a small amount of views. Unfortunately, that's the case, over time, sure, it'll grow. But I would say it's a slow process. It's a very slow process. And you have to find a way, if you want to keep going, you have to find a way to sell your own product or I would say brand deals has been something for other people. I personally don't do brand deals like that many. I've done a few. And it's just because they actually did go with my channel and go with education. Unfortunately, you're not going to see too many companies in education that even have an influencer program or any sort of program there. They're new to the market there. But I do have a few, I would say like affiliate programs that I'm a part of that I actually agree with, and I even used in college. So I always want to make sure that it aligns to, once again, my brand and who I am. And I never want to come off as like I'm not being genuine with students. But to answer your question, I would say it would be my products. Like just being able to sell my own products has been my main source of income and how I can survive. And then second would probably be the AdSense. And then after that, it would be any affiliates or brand deals that we decide to do.
Right. And I think there's like this misconception about like ad revenue. It's like, oh, you got that YouTube money, man. You're good. It's like, no, you need like millions and millions of views to get like a bag of groceries. It's nothing. And also,
Yeah.
the whole brand deals thing you brought up was interesting because like I've browsed like intermittently, I've occasionally sort of browsed around on like FameBit or whatever to just see what kind of things are out there. But like you said, like, and I would love to know like what sort of things you've actually been hired to do a brand deal for because it's like everything I see on there, it's like, oh, there's this cool phone grip and it's like none of that necessarily specifically has to do with education, let alone chemistry education. I mean, maybe if some company wanted to sell like these really cool, magnetic molecular modeling kits or something like that, maybe I could like pitch them. But I haven't seen anything like that,
Yeah, there isn't much. There definitely isn't much, and I mean, I'm sure you've probably received emails of just like things of like, hey, your channel's great. And like, they've literally put no effort in actually knowing what your channel's about. And they're trying to get you to like, I don't know, do a planner or sunglasses. I've had the most random emails of like, they want you to show this brand deal or this product. And I'm just like, do you know that I'm in education? Like, did you even look at my channel?
Yeah, that's probably some like, like automatic sort of copy paste job but
Yeah.
I actually don't get those. But what I do get is like, DMs from LinkedIn, they'll be like, hey, I can help you grow your channel and this and that. It's like, they're not even asking me to promote something that they have. They just want some of my money. And it's like, dude, there isn't any. I don't like the ad revenue is like nothing. Like even when I talked to Dave, he said, I mean, and Dave's huge. I think he just literally passed 900K subs. And he said that
Wow.
last October was the first time that his ad revenue exceeded his basic expenses. Now, okay, he lives in North Holly or Hollywood or whatever, so his expenses are well above average. But still, like for a channel of that size, I think there's this misconception that ad revenue gets you a lot, and it's also so volatile too. Like you have like ad buyers that pull their ads. You have like the ad apocalypses and things like that. It's just not a stable not a stable way to do it. And it's funny because like my wife is doing like these webinars, she's selling them for her business, and she's doing a pretty good job like making. I've seen some of the checks, and I'm like, damn, But like, she's like, like you have a lot of this wasted sort of. I'm not gonna say wasted, but she's like, you could be selling these like Discord calls that you have with people, helping them out, and because I have a Discord server, and anybody who wants to like DM me or call me, like like there was this one guy who was having trouble writing a mechanism for a Vidic reaction, and I was at work, so I had ChemDraw available, so I'm like, oh, okay, this is the intermediate that like this is what's wrong with your structure, and this is what it looks like. You're close, but here's this intermediate, and see if you can solve it from there. I never want to just give people the answer, you know what I mean? I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say it's definitely different. So it's understanding, like, this is kind of where I guess I was like that in the beginning, where I wanted to help, like I wanted to do everything for free, and I wanted to give and do so much. But then I realized that, well, I can't pay rent, like I can't survive with nothing,
No.
and I'm kind of killing myself to just help these people. And as much as I want to help, I have to think about it as whatever I decide to create is going to help. Like my genuine like goal and my mission is to help and create this huge impact as much as I can, but making a great product is still going to help someone, and I'm not, I don't see myself as overpricing it, and I'm not, like, it's still a way for me to be able to continue to make videos and continue to be there for students, or else I would have to leave. I would have to not, like I would end this YouTube, the channel, and I wouldn't be able to support this. So you kind of have to think about, I guess, change your perspective and change your mindset, and seeing that, and I am going to decide to charge, and understanding how to charge, and actually like what price is that. Mm-hmm. That's always something that you have to think about. But yeah, I would say for you, it's your time is valuable. It's like your education wasn't free. I wish it was. I wish my degree was free, but yeah, you kind of have to look at it that way.
Nothing is. I mean, and also just because you charge somebody money doesn't mean you're screwing them over, because that will, allow you to like do what you said. You can hire people. You can, expand. You can, mm-hmm. Put a bigger antenna on top of your head and amplify your message even more. Reinvest, yep. Reinvest your profits and things like that. Like, I think people have sort of a, sort of like a simplified or archaic view that, just because you're charging money for something like that doesn't necessarily mean you're only interested in money. It's like you got to eat,
Yeah. Or even just like, I actually want to be able to employ other people, like other people who are doing such a great job, like I want to be able to do that. And I also see it as, it's actually, there's a whole psychology behind it, where if you buy something, you're probably going to show up and do it. If something's free, you might not try, like something that's a free course versus a paid course. Well, if you paid for it, you're actually going to want to do it, so there's that whole difference as well for the user.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too that I've sort of been thinking about with this Discord server that I launched recently. I tell the audience that, if it gets bigger and a bunch of trolls start coming in, then I'll have to charge for it. Not because I want money necessarily, but because trolls, aren't going to pay money to troll a server, and they'll just try to find another server that's free and just troll it.
Yeah.
So like, people's people pay for, what they value. People, mm-hmm. They put their money where their heart is, where their ideals are. And to see someone like Dr. Disrespect get on and like collect, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of like subscription money, it's I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. Of course he deserves everything that he gets, but if people are willing to pay for it, and it's voluntary, of course. But it's just an interesting sort of experiment to see, where people's sort of value judgments are, looking at, by what they, where they're putting their money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so. Okay, I think it's been a pretty interesting conversation. I think, what are we at almost now? I think we're over an hour in, aren't we? Something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty new to this.
Maybe. I don't know what time we started.
I know you said like this is your first time using Discord. Welcome, by the way. I'm glad.
Yeah.
What do you think of it so far, by the way? What do you think of Discord?
It's pretty cool. I mean, Yeah, I can't say I've seen something like it.
Yeah,
It's a bit different
to
from the
me,
other stuff that I've used.
it almost seems like if Skype and Reddit were to like have a baby, like their offspring would be Discord.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I totally see it. Yeah, completely.
but anyway, so okay, I think since I'm pretty much blanking on any questions to ask at this point, I think we're good to pretty much wrap up. For the audience, for those who have stuck around this long and continue to watch this conversation, thank you so much. And Melissa, where can the audience find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube. Just search Melissa Maribel. You can find my channel there. And then for all my other like Instagram and all my other handles, you can find me at Hello Melissa M. And you could also find me on TikTok if it doesn't go away at the Chemistry Queen.
Interesting. TikTok. I don't have one of those, and I don't intend to. But I'm gonna have to. I
I
don't know.
don't blame you.
I might have to. I might have to get like a burner phone and install it just so I can look up your TikTok and see what you're up to. But
Appreciate the support.
all right. Well, thanks so much, Melissa. I really appreciate you taking the time. I really enjoyed this conversation. I thought it was a lot of fun. You seem like a really awesome person. Congratulations on all of your success. And I mean, you know how you meet certain people and you can just tell like, oh yeah, this person is gonna just light the world on fire. They're gonna do it excellent, and that's what I see in your future. So thanks again, and thank you to the audience for watching.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hey
Take care.
guys.